here so that I'll be able to save this afterwards. So I'm recording this now. And yeah, I think we'll just go ahead and start. Do you want, and I'll show you again how this video is edited together.
Sure.
And so feel free to, you can, in the middle of the interview, you can say, hey, I didn't say that right, edit that out, or don't use this part, and that will be totally fine. And I can edit it in different ways. So, yeah, so feel free to make comments like that throughout. Why don't you just start and after I ask a question, I'm going to mute my microphone so that I'm not recording myself accidentally for the part that I edit in. And then I'll unmute it to ask you another question when you're done. But why don't you go ahead and start and just tell me who you are and anything that you'd want to say about yourself. I may or may not use this, but we'll start with that.
Hi, my name is Mike Havertz. I don't know what else to say besides that.
Okay, tell me what year it was, like what you told me over the phone, what it looked like, a little bit of the background, and then just tell me the story of what you saw.
Okay, following graduation, a group of us decided to go rent a condo at Sweetwater, which is up in the Bear Lake area. We went up in late May, early June sometime, and we got caught in a little bit of a winter storm while we were up there, because we had some parents allowed the kids to use their boats. We went water skiing and that. And we thought it was cool to go water skiing with snowflakes coming down, so we got pictures of it. Anyway, the first night we were all in the camp. We had a bonfire outside, and we decided to walk over to where the boats were. And I think it was 2 or 3 of us, maybe there was even 4, but we borrowed a canoe or a rowboat, I don't remember which. We went out onto Bear Lake. Now, it was very cold this night, so we all had our coats on. And it was a very quiet night. The moon, I think, was pretty full. That's the only light we had. But it was really calm. And so we paddled out a little ways. And all of a sudden, as we were sitting there, a big channel of water that looked like about 20 feet long and about 2 feet wide started to make waves. And the waves were moving forward, just like when you throw a rock in a pond. The first wave comes and it's bigger, the second wave comes and it's a little bit smaller, and the third wave comes, but it comes in a series of looks like rhythms. And we were all freaking out. What was that? What was that? And it lasted for about 3 minutes. And the waves got up to be to the top of the boat. So that's probably about 18 inches. And they kept moving along, just like the water when you hit the rock in a pond, moving forward, and then it went silent and calm again. And later I found out that was likely caused by the colder water in the bottom turned over and caused all that wave action. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but we all saw it.
So okay, so I'll start with this. Okay, so remind me again, I think you set the stage really well, about what year and what month was this? You may have said that already.
This was May or June of 1977.
And uh, well, let me ask this first. Was this your first time at Bear Lake? Had you been to Bear Lake before?
I think as a kid, I had been to Bear Lake on a family vacation, and we just played on the beach in the sand. But at that time, I was not aware of a blue lake monster or anything like that.
Um, so had you been you were water skiing, right? Uh,
We water skied in the day, and at nighttime we were close to the harbor, or not a harbor, but a boat dock, and we borrowed a canoe and just went out on our own.
okay. And, and you had been on lakes before, and you've been on lakes since, right? Have you seen anything like this since then or before that?
Oh no, no, because this water was going so high, and the waves were so big in that little tiny area that we were in. It about swamped our boat, so we were very concerned about that. Then it went away just as soon, just the same as it came out of nowhere and it left out of nowhere.
And it caused waves as well, you said. What would that look like exactly? I mean,
Waves. It was dark, so there are a lot of shadows out. The waves just look like this: you take a rock and throw it in the water, and it shoots out the ripples that look like those ripples. The first hump of water was taller than the second hump, and the third hump was smaller than the second hump. So you can
um,
visualize this water moving along in the ripple effect.
okay. So, uh, uh, I interviewed a biologist that works in Garden City at Bear Lake, and he said some things that he's seen or that other people have reported. Um, he's seen a school of Cisco fish swimming together and coming close to the surface. Do you think it could have been that, a school of fish?
I would have think if fish were in those humps of water, I think I've seen boils of bass down at Lake Powell, and they're all moving. You know, fish move their tail back and forth. And there wasn't any indication of like the water being agitated with fish. It was just um, smooth humps. That and the noise wasn't anything. There, it was just quiet.
Ripple of the rock then was it was a or like a rock being thrown apart, was it a big ripple then?
Yeah, but it wasn't connected like a circle. It was just that 20 foot area that came up in like this section, and then just went along.
Another thing that the biologist said that he's seen is that elk swimming across the lake, which I assume that this isn't what you saw because it came up out of the water and down below, right? So it wouldn't have been elk probably.
No, it wasn't elk. I know what elk look like.
Remind me again, how far away were you?
Oh, we were right there. If I'm sitting in the boat like this, I could reach out my hand and touch the waves. So they were within 2 or 3 feet of us, almost underneath us.
Did it rock you at all,
Yes,
or
yes, it did. It rocked us. Like I said, it came close to tipping us over.
sounds like this is something because it happened, in the 1970s, happened such a long time ago, but it's made such an impression. I mean, why do you think that it's made such an impression? Some memories come and go, and this one stayed with you.
Oh, since that time, I've followed the the stories of the Loch Ness monster and other strange phenomenon take place. I enjoy that kind of stuff.
Awesome. I'm trying to think. Could we? Because sometimes, like when I'm editing video together, sometimes like I'll ask somebody like, what's your favorite color? And if they say blue, I can't really use that when I'm editing clips together. There are a couple things I noticed. Could you say something like, I hadn't seen anything like this before. I haven't seen something like that before, obviously in your own words, because I asked you that question and you said, no, I haven't, but I can't use that soundbite, no, if that makes sense.
All right, so let me just say something to the effect of, this is the first time in my life I've ever seen something like this. Okay.
And I think the last question I have is, have you looked more into lake turnover because I think I talked to a geologist about this before, and they talked about how it can cause discoloration. It can cause discoloration in portions of the lake sometimes, and sometimes cause a little bit of movement in the water. But is there anything else that you want to say about that? Like, are you pretty convinced that it probably was lake turnover?
Well, you got to imagine being 17 or 18 years old, not having a lot of experience in things like this. This is quite an ordeal for us. So when we went back to the condos, we didn't have any cell phones and Wi-Fi, and we couldn't look up that back then. We'd have to go to the encyclopedia, and then there wasn't anything in the encyclopedia. But we did do research after that, trying to find what the cause was, and none of us really found an answer, so we just moved on with our lives.
Remind me again, you probably already said this, I'm just trying to cover everything. How, I had another question and I can't remember, but how big was it? And if I remember my other question, I'll ask, but how big was it?
How big? Remember, we're in a canoe that's probably 10 feet long. And this was a section of water that, it's not perfectly square or rectangle, but it kind of went up from that point, because the water does funny things. But it was about 2 feet wide and about 15 to 20 feet long. And it went on for 3 minutes. And it kind of died down and come back, and it died down and come back. And as it would do that, it was either over here or over on the left, over on the right on top of us. And we were wondering if we were going to collapse. But I'll tell you, we went back a lot faster than we came. Went out there, we were either paddling or rowing as fast as we could to get to the shore, because we were a little bit scared. And the water was cold at night.
Yeah, especially in the middle of the night with it being that, that would freak me out for sure. I've had some of the people that I've interviewed or I've read stories from have said similar things, that it's like, especially if it happens at night, they're like, I don't want to go back on the water. One woman told me she saw something similar in the day, and she's like, I didn't go back to Bear Lake this year. So, but that's fun. But yeah, is there anything else that you'd want to say? Anything that you'd want to say about Bear Lake or the Bear Lake monster in general? I think that what you said pretty much covers everything.
I wish I could remember who was with me, because I can give you 5 or 6 names, which all could have been it. But I don't. I remember one guy is all, and that was Mike Swenson. And he is probably, or was probably, a dentist in Sherry Mills. She called Sherry a while back and asked some strange questions, but he was there. I remember that for sure.
Okay, so I have to ask Sherry if she's still got his contact information or something. But yeah, okay, well, awesome. I think that covers everything. I'm getting close to having the video edited, so hopefully soon I'll send you the version, and I'll send you the unpublished version before it goes anywhere, and you can give me your feedback or let me know if I need to change anything.
Sure. I trust you, Matthew. I don't think you're going to do anything. I didn't say anything either that was so far out, but
yeah.
But you got me thinking.
Uh-huh.
I asked those questions. That was good, and I came up with more detail as I remembered it. And you know what? I think a guy named Steve Clark was on that boat too. He's an attorney in Salt Lake. I don't know where he's at, which firm, but you could probably look under the bar, Utah State Bar, and find his phone number, use my name, and see if he remembers it. I can't hear you.
Mike Swenson, that's friends with Sherry, or at least Sherry's been somewhat in contact with her, and then Steve Park, an attorney in Salt Lake. Okay.
Steve Clark.
Steve Clark. Oh, thank you. Okay, Clark. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Well, great. That is awesome. Thank you for taking the time to do this, and I'm sorry for all the hoops to jump through and the scheduling back and forth, but I'm glad that it worked out, because this is an awesome story.
Good. All right.
Okay. Thanks. Tell everybody hi for me.
All right. You do the same for me.
Okay.
We're in opposite ends of the state.
Yeah. So, okay. See ya.
Bye-bye.